Yo, what is up? This is the second part of the Fireball tutorial, and this is when we're gonna actually start scripting. So I'm gonna start off in the starter character scripts, and I'm just gonna add a local script. Alright, so I'm gonna wanna set up a few variables, some basic variables like the services. So the services that I'm going to use are tween service, user input service, replicated storage, and debris service. And this is just how I'm going to define them. Next, I'm going to grab like the player, mouse, character, humanoid root part, all that. So that's what it is. All this is pretty basic, it's just setting up stuff. And right about here, it's when we're gonna add like a remote event. So I'm gonna go into fire, or actually not fire, go into replicated storage, add a folder, just call it remotes. And I'm gonna add a another folder here for attacks, and a remote event for fire. Alright. So you're gonna want to define the remote, also the resources for our fireball, which is in here. So yeah, and then I'm also going to be using a module script for this. It's not made by me. It's a module made by somebody else. So go to Toolbox and you can search for it. It's called Camera Shaker, and it's the one made by Slatenick. This one right here has all that. So yeah, we're going to be using that module, and you're going to want to put that in a folder in replicated storage, and I'm going to call it modules, and I'm just going to put the camera shaker module in there. I'm going to name it this and just keep it in there. And we're going to set up that module in our script. So this is just like the default code that was given by the module. Now I'm going to start with a little function that we're going to use for later. It's going to be called the Raycast module. It's not going to do just raycasting. It's also going to be moving like an object with the raycast. So, oh, I spelled something wrong here. So I'm going to want a parameter for starting position, the end position, the filter, so what to ignore, the length, or like how far each ray should go, and then the object that we're going to be moving. So yep. So within here, I'm just gonna set up like the raycast parameters. So here they are. That's how you set them up. And then the filter for it's gonna be filter. Next, the movement and all that, just gonna be like this. There's a little bit of math here. You can look at it if you want. So once you get all that down, that's going to be kind of the end of our Raycast function here. So now what we're going to do is going to be like the charging part of this. So fire charge, and then I'm going to put in some data in there. So I'm not going to put anything in here yet. I'm just going to set up that function. And then I'll add another function just called fireball. So like that's when the fireball actually shoots. and it too is going to have data passed into it. So this next part is going to be the what do you call it? The actual input code, I guess, and it's gonna have like all the functions play at the right time. So here it is. We set up the function, the table called data, and telling it that the client is true. So this is the client, and I'm setting up a variable called C as the character, so this character right here, and we're going to load an animation. I'm going to play the animation, and I'm going to destroy it later. It's going to be here for the exact length of the animation. After that, it'll get rid of itself. And then I'm going to remote the Fire server, tell it to charge up, then do the charge on the client, and then I'm going to tell the endpoint of data to be wherever the mouse was, and then we actually shoot the fireball. So let's set it all up on client side now for this. There are a few things we're going to want to set up. So first is the fireball. It's just going to be our effects, the fireball that we put in effects, this one. And we're going to put it in workspace.effects. So that doesn't exist yet, so add a folder in workspace, name it effects. And then I'm going to make a little thing called hand fire, so it's going to like set your hand on fire. It'll just look cool. That's about it. Yeah. So also when we're charging, I don't want our player to be moving around. So I tell our player, I'm gonna give our player a little body position, basically that prevents our player from moving, and I'll make it unable to jump as well. So yep. Next, when we're charging up the fireball, I kind of want like wherever the player is standing to like kind of have like a fire aura. So I'm gonna make a variable called floor fire. I'm gonna position it here. I'm gonna set the ring orientation to normal, so then it's like facing up. It'll be like a normal ring on the ground, and then it's gonna start playing here. Next, I'm gonna create like a little charge up animation with the circle mesh that we made. So my charge up animation takes around 1.3 seconds, so I'm going to loop through this 13 times, and it's going to wait 0.1 times every single time, and that way it'll take up 1.3 seconds. So upon the charge to be over, we're going to want to like destroy the hand fire and position the fireball. Next, we're gonna want that the ring to like appear like that. It's gonna emit 50 particles. Now, once we shoot it, we should be able to move. So and jump. This is the default jump height. So I'm gonna reset it, and then I'll delete the body position. And at that point, you can get rid of that floor fire as well, turn it off, and then give it a second to delete itself. And then we're just going to destroy the fireball. Now, in the fireball function here, we're going to define a few variables again. We're going to define our character, the humanoid root part, and the fireball. And we're going to also position the fireball. There we go. Looks good to me. Defined, and then I'm going to create a fireball, put it here, workspace.fx, and I'm going to position it, and then I'm going to let it actually show, so enable the fire. So this is where the stuff gets a little bit more interesting, I guess. So I'm gonna want the camera to shake here. So like we're shooting it out and I want there to be impact. So I'm gonna shake it. This is the magnitude. This is the roughness. This is the fade in time and the fade out time. Right? So, yep. Now I'm gonna set up two variables here. Connection and count. This is gonna be for the render cycle. So connection, aim gets service, runs service. Yeah, I should have defined this earlier, but it's okay, we're only using it once. So dt right here is delta time, it's the time in between each frame. So here's where it gets a little bit more complicated. If count is greater than 5, then I want this connection to disconnect. I don't want it to listen to this update every frame anymore. I want the fireball's fire to turn off or unenable, so enabled equals false. I want it to wait 1 second, destroy the fireball, and then don't do anything else in this function, so return. However, if count is not greater than 5, and what this basically means is like if the fireball has stayed for more than 5 seconds. So otherwise, if our raycast function using the fireball's position and data.endpoint and the filter, which is going to be our character, we don't want it to hit our character. And the length, or the speed, or 100 times our delta time. So like if somebody has lower frames, it won't affect anything. Oh, it's right here. I messed up. I meant to use these brackets. And then right here, the object that we're moving is going to be fireball. If this equals false, and right here, it means that it did hit something. If it doesn't equal false, basically it just moves the correct distance. So what this means is if it did hit something, I'm gonna do this 15 times. I'm gonna make like a crater here. So the way I'm gonna make a crater is by creating a part, giving it a somewhat random size here. And I will be rotating this by 24 degrees every time. The radius is going to be around 8. And it's going to be angled slightly so that it looks more like a crater. And once again, can curry, can collide, all that's off. You can even say can touch equals false as well here. I'm going to be doing some raycasting here, so like it'll look nice when it hits like the ground. The crater positioning will be nice. So set up a raycast parameter here. Copy that down. And then perform the actual raycasting. And basically what this does right here is if it hits something, it'll turn the part to look like whatever it hit to make a more realistic crater. So I'm gonna do a little bit of effects, some more additional effects here. Basically, I'm gonna be making like a little bit of debris fly out whenever it hits the ground. And I don't want this to happen 15 times. I want it to do it a little bit less times. So I'll just do modulus here. If whatever number we're on here is divisible by 3, and the remainder is with less than 2, then I will do the fire debris effects. So I'm just gonna make a fireball, another fireball here. It's gonna be like a mini fireball. And then I want it to be able to move and stuff, so turn anchor to false and can collide to true. I need it to have like a velocity, right? So create a body velocity for it. Set the direction to be somewhat random here. I'll make this like a solid number, like 30. So it always goes somewhat up. And I'm gonna add the velocity for 0.1 seconds, and then add the actual debris, fire debris, for 4 seconds. And after this, I want it to wait 2 seconds here, but I don't want it to like actually stop the rest of the script here. So I'm gonna use spawn function like this. And then what this thing does is just like creates an animation. I think we used it up here too. If I didn't explain it, basically I'm telling it to do whatever is in this table, turn the transparency of whatever's here to 1, and then this is just how it's going to do that. It's going to be in 1 second. It's going to be cubic, or the speed of which this happens is going to be cubic, and then the direction of the cubic speed is going to be outwards. It's not going to repeat, nor is it going to have any delay, and it's not going to reverse either. And don't forget to actually turn the fire transparency to 0, which means you can actually see it. Otherwise, that's going to look a little bit silly. So the next part we're going to do is we're going to position the crater a little bit. I'm going to tell the crater to go actually underground by 4. That way, like once the fireball hits, it can like smoothly rise up. And once again, we're going to be using tween service. And basically it's going to do this. You can copy that down. Basically, I'm just telling it to go up by 4. And I'm going to use the spawn function here again. I'm going to add the crater for 4 seconds. And it's going to wait 3 seconds. After that 3 seconds, it's going to go back under the ground. So it looks like it's like smoothly disappearing. So after we create the crater and all that effects, I'm going to want the fireball to kind of turn off, right? And we want it to explode instead of just being a fireball. So I'm going to let the explosion emit. And we're also going to want to play the camera shake. So that. And now, once this happens, we can just disconnect the connection, right? Oh, let's do this then. Right. And if this happens to be our client, so whoever sent it out, I'm gonna want to tell the server that this happened. I'm gonna tell it where it hit, and then I'll send that to the server. I cannot spell, wow. And I'm gonna pass the data there too. And after 1 second, I'm gonna delete the fireball, and then I'll return. So yeah, this is all happening on client, so other people can't see it yet. I'm just gonna test for errors. Okay, so yeah, we don't have the fire remote. Oh, I named it something else, didn't I? Oh, I just named it fire, my bad. So you're gonna wanna name that fire remote. And would you look at that? got ourselves a fireball. Right now it's kind of lame, right? We can't really hit anything. We can hit the ground, but it's not doing any damage, and that's kind of lame in my opinion. I want it to do damage. Damage is going to have to be done on the server though. So we're going to go into the server script service, add a folder in there, and it's just going to be called attacks. And once again, add a folder for fire. And add a script. This is like a server-side script. And I'm just going to call it fire handler because it's going to handle our fire. So in the fire handler, there's not going to be much going on. So we're going to grab the replicated storage in the remote. And once the remote, we're going to want the remote to, we're actually going to listen for the remote. So on server event, connect function. And I'm just going to put in the first variable that it's going to pass is always going to be player. I can't change anything. Next, I'm going to listen for the attack. As you can see, whenever we fired the server, we told it what attack it was, or what thing was happening. The charge, the fireball hit. And then we also passed in data. That's nice. Now, if the attack happened to be fireball, so that's when like the fireball actually flies out, I'm going to tell every single client that isn't the player who sent this event to play the functions on their side as well. Because the function's already playing on the client side. We're telling every other player to do this. Now if the attack wasn't that and it happened to be fire charge, so that's like the charge up, right? Then obviously I want it to play the fire charge function on everybody else's screen. Now if it's fireball hit on the other hand, so we're gonna create a hitbox here, and let me just put here. Also, you can say can touch is false as well. There you go. Created a hitbox. Its size is gonna be like 16 in 16 by 16 by 16. It's gonna be called hitbox or just HB. This doesn't matter here. It's anchored. It cannot be touched. Like it's not physically there. And the positioning is wherever the fireball hit, which was stored in data.endpoint, right? And so local connection, I'll just call it con here. I'm going to create a touched event here. Oh wait, in that case, my bad. You should actually get rid of that. This creates a touched instance or something. I forgot what it was called, but it basically allows it to be touched even though it's anchored. Once we just basically do this and instantly disconnect it. I'm not sure if this is still necessary today, but I think it was necessary in the past. I'm gonna keep a good old array called hits. Next, I'm going to loop through everything in hitbox get touching parts, so like everything that's inside of the hitbox, and if it is not part of the character who shot the fireball, and if it wasn't that and it is a humanoid, so it is like a player or an NPC, and we haven't already hit it, and then the distance of this whatever it hit is within 16, then we're gonna put that in the hits table so that way next time we won't hit it again, and then we'll tell it to take 20 damage. And at the very end of this, we're just going to destroy the hitbox. So now if we run it, everything still looks normal. Can we hit people? Let's see. Yeah, we did. As you can see, health went down. And if you want to see the crater, like why we did the raycasting for the crater, what you can do is add some extra parts or something. Scale this up a little bit. Copy this. I'll put it on some more over here. And then I'll take all these parts. I'm gonna make the material something else. You know what? I'll make one of these like sand or something. Then I'm gonna anchor all of these. Alright. Now if we play, you'll see like the crater actually, you know, changes material with these. You couldn't really see it here because it wouldn't have made a crater there. But yeah. Where it's supposed to be, it's gonna change into whatever color it's supposed to be. Whatever material it's supposed to be. So, yeah. Oh, and that's a mistake on my part. Let me check. I'm pretty sure I forgot to get rid of the fireball. Yeah, we did. So that's my bad. Go to local script here. And I think it's in the charge animation here. Yep, so it's the ring. Yep, I think it is the ring. The ring indeed. I don't think I destroyed the ring, so you can debris. Ring for just like 1 second. Hopefully I'm not left with just do it 3 times. Alright. So if I go into our effects here, as you can see, it all clears up and we're not left with any other stuff. So yeah, that was our fireball. If it looks good, please leave a like or subscribe. And if you want me to code anything else, just comment down there and I'll see if I can make it. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.